If you love ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, and everything that goes bump in the night, then mark your calendars for the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo, happening September 26 in Mayfield, Kentucky at the Mayfield Graves County Fairgrounds. This incredible one-day event brings together some of the biggest names in the paranormal community, including Aaron G. Thompson from Netflix's 28 Days Haunted, Jimmy and Jeffrey from Outlaw Paranormal, The Wind of Rose, Josh Morris, Michael Huntington, Rachel Ravensville, and many, many more special guests and speakers. Your admission is just $15, and that gets you an all-day come-and-go wristband so you can explore at your own pace, browse more than 35 vendors, and enjoy delicious food trucks, attend speaker presentations and panels, meet investigators, hear incredible stories, and dive into the worlds of hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and the unexplained. Whether you're a seasoned ghost hunter or just curious about the mysteries that surround us, there's something for everyone at the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo. Tickets are on sale now. For more information, visit West Kentucky Paranormal Expo on Facebook and get ready for one of the most exciting paranormal events of the year. We'll see you in Mayfield on September 26th. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Almost everyone has heard those words. Children have chanted them on playgrounds, jumping rope, just having fun. That rhymes appeared in books, television shows, movies. It's a rhyme that's survived for more than a century. There's just one problem. Almost every part of it's wrong. Lizzie Borden's victim wasn't her mother. It was her stepmother, Abby. Abby wasn't struck 40 times. Medical examiners counted 19 blows. Andrew wasn't hit 41 times either. He suffered 11 devastating strikes to his face. And perhaps the biggest mystery of all, Lizzie Borden was acquitted. A jury found her not guilty. Legally speaking, Lizzie Borden, she was an innocent woman. Yet more than 130 years later, most Americans still believe she got away with murder. Today, the modest house at 230 2nd Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, it's become one of the most haunted homes in America. Guests report hearing footsteps climbing empty staircases, seeing shadow figures standing in bedroom doorways, and waking in the middle of the night convinced someone is watching them from the foot of the bed. Many believe Andrew and Abby Borden never truly left the house where they met such violent ends. Others wonder if something dark still lingers there. A house forever stained by one of the greatest unsolved murder mysteries in American history. I'm the American Haunted Historian, Alan Searcy, and this is Southern Ghost Stories. And before we get into today's episode, if you enjoy haunted history and forgotten folklore, I'd appreciate it if you left a rating and review wherever you're listening. It really helps more people discover the show. My goal is to get 150 Apple reviews before October, so please help me out. Spotify, they're good too. Now, let's travel to Fall River, Massachusetts, to a modest Victorian home where one August morning in 1892, everything changed. By the late 19th century, Fall River had become one of America's great textile cities. Its mills ran day and night. Smoke poured from factory chimneys. Thousands of immigrants worked long hours producing cotton cloth that was shipped all around the world. Among the city's wealthiest citizens was Andrew Borden. He had accumulated a fortune estimated at around $300,000 in 1892, worth well over $10 million today. But despite his wealth, Andrew Borden, he lived like a miser. Instead of purchasing an opulent home on the hill where Fall River's elite lived, he kept his family in a plain house on 2nd Street. There's no indoor plumbing, no electricity, no modern conveniences, even though he could easily afford them. Neighbors described him as cold, calculated, and obsessed with money. Living inside the house were 4 people: Andrew, his second wife Abby, his daughters from his first marriage, Emma, and 30-year-old Lizzie. But it wasn't a happy household. Lizzie reportedly never called Abby mother. Instead, she referred to her simply as Mrs. Borden. Arguments over money, became commonplace. Andrew had been giving real estate to Abby's relatives, and Lizzie believed her inheritance it was slipping away. The atmosphere inside the home had grown tense. Everyone just seemed to coexist, rather than live together. It was a powder keg waiting for a spark. August 4th, 1892. The morning began like so many others. Andrew left the house for his daily errands. Emma, she was away visiting friends. The maid, Bridget Sullivan, spent the morning cleaning windows in the hot summer heat. Uncle John Morse, Andrew's brother-in-law, had spent the previous night in the guest room before leaving the house that morning. That room would soon become one of the most infamous bedrooms in America. Today it's known as John Morse Room, or simply the murder room. Because around 9 o'clock that morning, Abby Borden was seen alive by Lizzie and Bridget Sullivan. She walked upstairs to straighten the guest bedroom where John Morse had slept. It was a simple household chore, one she never finished. According to Lizzie, she remained downstairs ironing handkerchiefs. Meanwhile, Abby was alone upstairs. Whoever attacked her caught her completely by surprise. There's no struggle, no overturned furniture, no defensive wounds. Nothing suggesting she even had time to react. The first hatchet blow landed just above her left ear. Another struck between her shoulder blades with such force it drove nearly 4 inches deep. Then came 17 more blows, one after another. Almost all delivered to the back of her head and neck. 19 strikes in total. A level of violence so excessive that investigators struggled to comprehend it. When Abby's body was finally discovered, she lay face down in a pool of blood. Medical examiners estimated she'd been dead for roughly 90 minutes before Andrew Borden was killed. Around 10:45, Andrew returned home. The door was locked, and Bridget, the maid, had difficulty opening it. Some witnesses later claimed they heard Lizzie laughing upstairs. Others disputed hearing anything at all. Andrew settled into the sitting room sofa. He took off his boots, picked up a newspaper, and he closed his eyes. He never saw his killer. Moments later, someone approached from behind. The first hatchet blow split his face. More followed. By the time it was over, Andrew Borden had suffered 11 devastating blows. His face, it was unrecognizable. Blood soaked the horsehair sofa beneath him. The attack lasted only seconds. According to Lizzie, she'd been outside in the barn looking for fishing sinkers. When she returned, she found her father dead. She called for Bridget, the maid. The police eventually arrived. The investigation began. And almost immediately, small details in Lizzie's story, they started falling apart. Witnesses contradicted portions of her timeline. She allegedly attempted to purchase prussic acid the day before the murders. A dress she had worn was later burned. Was Lizzie destroying evidence? Yet investigators never recovered the murder weapon with certainty. The hatchet found in the basement lacked a convincing amount of blood. The case remained largely circumstantial. Well, the trial, the nation became obsessed with the Lizzie Borden case. And by the time the trial began in June of 1893, it had become one of the biggest media spectacles America had ever seen. Newspapers from Boston, New York, Chicago, and across the country flooded New Bedford with reporters. Telegraph operators worked around the clock, sending hundreds of thousands of words to newspapers every day. Courtroom seats were nearly impossible to find, and crowds gathered outside hoping for the smallest update. Everyone had an opinion. Some believed the evidence clearly pointed to Lizzie. Others simply could not imagine that a respectable Sunday school teaching young lady from a prominent New England family could commit such savage murders. The defense assembled an impressive legal team, led by former Massachusetts Governor George D. Robinson. Robinson was one of the most influential attorneys in the state, and his presence immediately gave Lizzie's defense enormous credibility. And that connection became even more interesting because one of the 3 judges presiding over the case, Justice Justin Dewey, had been appointed to the Massachusetts Superior Court years earlier by Governor Robinson himself, while Robinson was still in office. Critics later argued that the relationship created the appearance of favoritism, though no evidence ever proved any improper conduct. And as the trial unfolded, the defense scored several major victories. The judges excluded testimony that Lizzie had allegedly tried to purchase the acid the day before the murders, ruling it as too speculative to be admitted. And then came Justice Dewey's instructions to the jury. His charge strongly emphasized the dangers of convicting someone based solely on circumstantial evidence. He reminded juries of Lizzie's previously respectable Christian character and told them it was entitled to consideration when weighing all the evidence. Some newspaper editors claimed the instructions sounded less like a neutral explanation of the law and more like a closing argument for the defense. One paper wrote that Justice Dewey could not have been more absolutely pointed out the folly of depending upon circumstantial evidence alone had he been Lizzie's own attorney. The prosecution, meanwhile, had another obstacle. The jury wasn't drawn from Fall River, where emotions surrounding the murder ran high. Instead, it came from smaller farming communities throughout Bristol County. Most of the jurors were Protestant farmers and tradesmen, many of them fathers with daughters close to Lizzie's age. Historians have long wondered whether those men found it nearly impossible to picture a well-dressed church-going woman wielding a hatchet with such unimaginable brutality. After weeks of testimony, the case was finally in the jury's hands. Well, they deliberated for barely 90 minutes. They returned with their verdict: not guilty. Legally, the mystery, it ended there that afternoon in June of 1893. But publicly, it never would. More than a century later, historians, criminologists, and amateur detectives are still arguing over the same questions the juries answer in less than 2 hours. Did Lizzie Borden beat the justice system? Or did America spend the last 130 years accusing an innocent woman? People have spent over 100 years analyzing this case, but obviously nothing new has come to light. Well, ironically, there is a treasure trove of unseen material relating to the case, but it will never, ever see the light of day. The notes from Lizzie's legal team were locked away in a filing cabinet inside a law office in Springfield, Massachusetts. You see, attorney-client privilege, it never ends. Even in death, the firm cannot reveal what may have been said between her and the former governor who was her attorney. She could have confessed, but we'll never really know. After the trial, Lizzie and Emma inherited Andrew's fortune. They purchased a grand house Lizzie named Maplecroft. For years, they lived comfortably on the hill with the upper crust of Fall River. But society never really truly accepted Lizzie again. Children reportedly mocked her in the streets, with that nursery rhyme I mentioned earlier. Former friends avoided her. Eventually, even Emma moved away after some kind of strange falling out. The sisters never reconciled. Did she learn of something Lizzie did in the guest room many years earlier? Well, Lizzie died in 1927. Emma and Lizzie, they never spoke. Oddly, Lizzie and Emma were born 9 years apart. Well, they died 9 days apart. And today, the old Borden home still stands. And it operates as the historic Lizzie Borden Axe Murder House and Museum. Visitors don't simply tour the building. Many spend the night. And to stay there, you cannot bring in a Ouija board onto the property. And things are strange there, especially upstairs, especially inside the John Morse room or the murder room, the very room where Abby Borden was murdered. Guests frequently describe the room as unnaturally heavy. Some feel an overwhelming sadness the moment they enter. Others say they experience sudden headaches or nausea. People have thrown up as soon as they walked in the door. Several investigators have reported hearing quiet footsteps crossing the floor in the middle of the night there in the John Morse room. But each time, no one's there. People have awakened to the sensation of someone standing beside the bed. Some claim they've seen the outline of a woman kneeling near the exact location where Abby's body was found. Others report hearing faint sobbing. One recurring story involves guests waking to see a woman in Victoria clothing looking toward the door before vanishing without a sound. Whether that's Abby or simply the imagination responding to the room's violent history? No one really knows. The downstairs sitting room where Andrew was killed has its own haunted reputation. Investigators frequently report cold spots. Doors occasionally open without explanation. EVP sessions have allegedly captured responses to questions directed towards Andrew. Some guests have photographed unexplained mist-like figures hovering near the sofa where he was murdered. Employees said they occasionally hear the distinct sound of someone clearing their throat, only to discover the room is empty. Even Bridget Sullivan, the maid who survived, may have left something behind. Visitors sleeping in her bedroom have reported hearing someone making the bed, the rustling of sheets, the movement of footsteps. Sometimes they've awakened believing someone was cleaning the room around them. When they turn on the light, nothing is there. The staircase has become one of the house's most active locations. Visitors report hearing footsteps ascending while everyone else is downstairs. Some claim shadow figures move from one landing to another before disappearing. Others refuse to climb the stairs after dark because they feel like they're being watched from above. Paranormal investigators have repeatedly attempted to capture these experiences with cameras, yet many say the activity occurs just outside the camera's field of view. And paranormal researchers often suggest violent deaths can leave emotional impressions on a location. Not necessarily spirits, but echoes, residual energy replaying moments of unimaginable violence or trauma. Others believe intelligent hauntings occur there. That's Andrew and Abby. They remain trapped, or perhaps continuing searching for justice. Skeptics point out the obvious. The house is famous. Visitors arrive expecting paranormal experiences. Expectation itself can influence perception. Perhaps even creaking floorboard. Every settling beam, every draft takes on a sinister meaning because everyone already knows the story. But then again, not everyone who experiences something unusual believes in ghosts for walking through that front door. Many become believers afterwards. More than a century has passed since those brutal, terrible murders. The hatchet has long since fallen silent. The trial ended generations ago, yet somehow the questions remain alive. Who killed Andrew and Abby Borden? Why was such an overwhelming violence unleashed inside that quiet home? And if justice was never truly served, could that explain why so many people still claim the house refuses to rest? Perhaps some stories don't end with a verdict. Perhaps they linger inside old walls, waiting for the next visitor to hear footsteps coming slowly up the stairs. Oh, something I wanted to mention, something I forgot to tell you. If you're on Facebook, don't accept a friend request from Lizzie Borden's father. He's been hacked. Get it? Yeah, sorry, it's a pretty bad, cheesy joke, but there's all kinds of jokes about the Lizzie Borden hacking, and you can Google those, they'll come up. There's a whole bunch of them. Anyway, hey, make sure you guys check out the new books. Pistols at Red River, it's Andrew Jackson Doolan's story. It's available on Amazon. If you have Kindle Unlimited, the book is available for free. So, I mean, free is a pretty good price. But yeah, Kindle Unlimited, you can find it on Kindle. It's on Audible, all that good stuff. And also, I mentioned, we're trying to get 150 reviews on Apple. It's real important for the algorithm. It helps share the show with other people who are interested in ghost stories and hauntings and history and folklore. So yeah, if you're on Apple or Spotify, please leave a review. Those are so helpful, and I really appreciate it. Have you guys been to Monster City Madhouse yet? MonsterCityMadhouse.com. Man, the new shirt, it's a whole lot of fun. And I may or may not have had a hand in its creation. It's up for debate. It's the greatest cryptid tag team of all time. They finally arrived. Straight from the deepest forest of cryptid mania comes the monster powers, featuring the Yeti and the Bigfoot, and an over-the-top tribute to classic 1980s wrestling, monster magazines, and larger-than-life personalities. Packed with colorful retro artwork, outrageous promos, championship gold, and enough cryptid power to shake the woods, this exclusive Monster City Madhouse design is perfect for wrestling fans, cryptid hunters, horror lovers, and anyone who appreciates old-school cartoon mayhem. Whether you're tracking Bigfoot, searching for the Yeti, or just ready to watch the mega monsters run wild, brother, this shirt was made to stand out. And also, if you go to MonsterCityMadhouse.com, use promo code SAVE10 to get 10% off your order. That's right. Get 10% off your order at monstercitymadhouse.com, promo code SAVE10. Make sure you're following Southern Ghost Stories on Facebook and Instagram. You can also send me questions there. I've already dropped the Q&A. I got another one I'm working on. You can also email me questions, southernghoststories@gmail.com. So thank you guys for listening today. And I'm Alan Searcy, the American Historian, and I will see you on the next show, Friday. If you love ghost stories, folklore, and all things mysterious, you need to make a trip to Haunted in downtown Tullahoma, Tennessee. Just a short drive from Nashville, this family-owned Gothic shop is filled with the strange, unusual, and downright fascinating. This isn't a big box store full of mass-produced decorations. Haunted specializes in handmade curiosities, Gothic decor, metaphysical supplies, green witchcraft essentials, and unique pieces created by independent artists. Whether you're decorating or just looking for something you won't find anywhere else, Haunted is worth the trip. Visit them on 125 West Lincoln Street in Tullahoma, or shop online at hauntedstore.net. That's right, hauntedstore.net. Haunted, curated for the strange and unusual. Monster City Madhouse, a year-round online store full of Halloween and classic horror shirts, with an emphasis on the vintage look. Use code SAVE10 for 10% off your order. MonsterCityMadhouse.com. Free shipping and financing's available.